Good evening, people. We are back. Lee Judges and I have not got the same memo. Oh, we have. We're wearing exactly the same shirt. Can you believe it? Didn't even know. We were talking in the background. Didn't even realise until we've just gone live. Can you believe it, mate? How are you, Lee?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thank you very much, Dan. All good. Nice little holiday, little break back now.
Yeah, how was it? Come on, how was it?
Fantastic. I've got to say, obviously, people will know about it, but bumped into Aaron Ramsdale in the airport. Dan, it's probably got to go down as one of the greatest experiences because I see him and I went, oh, hello, Aaron, like that, just like a little wave. And he waved back and he come over and he said, how you doing, Lee? Had a cuddle, hug, you know what I mean? And we had about a 5-minute conversation, just talking about, what he's up to, saying that, he's over for 4 days before getting back on England duty. I think he said, I'm back on England duty on Friday. And I said, hope that all goes well. I look forward to the season. See you when I see you. Fantastic. And all his mates are there with him, and as I walked out the airport, they're all going, see you later, Lee. So it was wow. Dan, it was unreal. It was unreal. And, somebody come up to me and said, I thought it was you. And then I, see Aaron come up to you. And
you should have gone, when he come up to you, you should have gone, do you mind, mate? I'm with my missus going abroad.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, it was really good. Spoke about his dad, obviously, because I talked to his dad, it was brilliant. He even said, how long you over for? You're playing a bit of golf. It was surreal, Dan. It was absolutely surreal. And then, we was in a bar. We was walking past the bar, and they was in they weren't in a bar. Let's put that right. I was in a restaurant, and it's all waving. You could get to that feeling look, there's that Judges, we can duck out of the way or something like that. It was far from that, right. Dan. Making sure they see you waving. Are you all right? How you doing? How's your holiday going? Unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable, experiences for 4 days. So I kept bumping into him, and Dan made me holiday. I'm not gonna lie.
It would mind me. It would on mine. 100%. It will. Of course, it makes your holiday.
It was buzzing for him to come over and just say, hello, Lee, pleased to meet you, and all that. Was incredible.
It's quality, mate. It's brilliant. I'm glad it happened that way, mate. And I'm glad whenever you meet your heroes, sometimes you're nervous, aren't you? And think, is it going to let us down? And you ain't been let down yet, mate. Let me tell you. But from positive to negative, or, well, I suppose it could be positive if you're happy with today's news. I've just done a bit of a reaction on AFTV with it. Myself, Curtis James, and Robbie were over in the studio. If you haven't checked that one out, please make sure you do on AFTV. We've had our say. I'm going to have my say in a minute. After we've had yours, mate. The breaking news of the night. Arsenal are linked with Kai Havertz. Chelsea, we are being told, have to sell players they've got till the end of June to sell some players. They can't sign anyone after that because otherwise they'll break their financial fair play, which is why there's a rumour of Mount to Man United. And there's a rumour of Kai Havertz to Arsenal and, of course, Kovacic to Manchester City. Now, it looks to me as if Chelsea are going to go mental again, mate, in terms of incomings, because they've cleared out the whole of their midfield. Conor Gallagher's up for sale as well. Ruben Loftus-Cheek has gone. It leaves them basically Enzo Fernandez is the only one that they're going to be keeping faith in. Kante's gone over to Saudi Arabia as well. You can add him. It's mad. But looking at Arsenal, I've got to be honest, right? I'm not feeling this one, Lee. Talk to me.
Listen, first of all, these are all rumours, and it's not worth getting carried away with it and everything like that. But this is if I'm saying we're people going, oh, we can't afford both and all that. Let's go back to January, right? Let's go back to January. We put in £100 million bid for Mudryk, yeah? Okay, didn't get him, right? We also put in a £70 million bid for Caicedo, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden, Mudryk went to Chelsea. Okay, we missed out on that one. But Caicedo, Chelsea put a bid in for him. Wasn't accepted. Didn't do nothing. Arsenal put a bid in for him. Wasn't accepted, but he put in a transfer request. What does that tell you? He didn't want Chelsea. He wanted to come to Arsenal. Now, if you're spending or prepared to spend 70 million, so say for instance, they would have agreed on 70 million, he would be an Arsenal player now. So what's the difference now between now and January, Dan? I can't work it out. All right, a few months later and all that, but surely, without it will upset me whether it's rumours or not. If we don't go in for Caicedo and get him, right, I feel like the club's taking the mickey out of me in January by saying, well, we're trying, we know we ain't going to. It's like, we're never going to get him, but we're trying to appease the fans again. Like, I've had enough of that. You know what I mean? Like, I look at Van Dijk, right? And I look at Liverpool. Liverpool were a little bit like where we are now, and then they were serious, weren't they? With Alisson and Van Dijk, right? Yeah, they went to Manchester City. They went to Southampton at the summer, and they said we want him. Like, no. What did they do when January come along? They went and got him, and they got it done. The rest is history. With when you look back at Liverpool, for 4 or 5 years they went and done it. And I'm sorry, like, you know what I mean. I've had enough of this talk. Oh, if we get Rice, we can only have Rice and Caicedo. Listen, for me, game-changing situations here. If we was to bring in Rice and Caicedo, we are then a game-changing. That is a game-changing window, Dan. I don't care whether you think we need a forward or we need this or we need that. We can tinker with that. Game-changing statement. That is 2 midfield players that we go. Now, I'm also hearing rumours. I don't know about you, that I think we know Xhaka's going to go. I'm hearing, rumours, and I get it. It's only rumours at the moment, so I'm not going to lose my stuff about it. But if it is true and we're going to bring in, say if we bring in Rice and Caicedo, and then we're going to let those two go, either Xhaka and Partey, we're in the same position as we was last season. Like, do you know what I mean? With no backup. So for me, it would be. I can't believe Arsenal are going to be like so sick. And then I look at it and go, okay, right, you sign this Havertz. Where is he actually going to play? Now, I know you turn around and go, don't worry about that. But you're spending 40, 50, 60 million pounds on a player that's not going to be playing all the time, Dan. And also, I'm going to be, before anybody starts going mad and saying all the bad things about Havertz and all that, like, just remember, to the person I was talking about 5 minutes ago, Aaron Ramsdale. You know what I mean? People were losing their stuff about that. We've been proved.
Tomiyasu as well, another one.
You've been proved wrong on a few things, like, you know what I mean? So when it comes to backing the club, I will, whatever they go and do, I'll go and do. Right, you know what I mean? But I honestly think if you're sitting there, and this is really what I'll be, and if I'd love to be in that meeting, this is what I would say to the Cronkies. This is what I would say to Edu. I would go in big, massively this summer, right? Spend a load of money, because in the next 4 or 5 years, we've got to tinker. We haven't got to spend big money. If you look at it, like, all of our back four is at 2024 or under. Our midfield with Caicedo and Rice would be 24 and under. You know what I mean? You look at the Odegaard and the front four up there, 25 and under. We would not have to spend massive amounts of money for the next 2-3 years. So basically, put all your chips in on the table now, because over the next couple of years, I don't, come January, Dan, if we sign those 2 players and maybe get another one in, I don't think we have to do any business in January. You have a look at Manchester City. They don't do a lot of business in January. Why? Because they've got the squad stocked straight away. That's what we would have as well. And it's a massive worry now for me to let Chelsea go and get him and all that, like, especially with Pochettino. We're in a strong position now, Dan, like, you know what I mean? Take advantage of it now, like, you know what I mean? Champions League football. Don't worry about the money, you know what I mean? Like, we've got a load of money. And listen, we're going to have to lose 1 or 2 because of financial fair play. We know that. Get those main 2 done. I expect Rice done, Bosch. As soon as the international break's done, Bosch, Caicedo, exactly the same. I'll be really pissed off, Dan. I'm going to say it now. If we don't sign that Caicedo, I don't care. Declan Rice is a great sign. I'm not on that, but Caicedo is, for me, is the thing that we are lacking. And also, again, like Declan Rice, they can play 2 positions. If you can play him at right back, inverted right back, Declan Rice can play holding, or he can be the advanced one and all that. Like, there's big money signings.
It's not even that, Lee. It's the fact that if we wanted him in. Do you remember? And I'll tell you what we'd like if we don't get Caicedo. I know it ain't worked out this example, but just hear me, right? Do you
Yeah,
remember when we went for Husam Awar and we were linked with him? Oh, we're trying to get him, we're trying to get him,
yeah.
we're trying to get him. Never got him. If this happens again with Caicedo, for me, it's a bit bizarre because what is our strategy then? Because surely he was our plan A. Now, when Mudryk was our plan A and Chelsea come in and swooped him, fair play, you have to move on. We got Trossard. It's all worked out quite well. But this Caicedo thing, if he goes Chelsea because we're buying their players to make room for him, it don't look good, does it? And that's what a lot of people are saying in the chat, Lee.
Yeah, and listen, I get what they're saying, and also like, and I've just seen a little one in there, like, you know what I mean, you know, we can't afford Rice and Caicedo, all right? Okay, so why was we bidding 100 million and 70
We
million
can.
in January for two players? Don't turn around to me and say you haven't got the money, like, you know what I mean? And also that's without Champions League football and everything like that. It's changed, like, you know. And if you haven't got the money, then sell someone to get the money, like, you know what I mean? You're selling Xhaka, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you're going to get 10 million for him, like, you know, or whatever it be, maybe even more because he had an excellent season. You might have to let someone like Eddie go. You might even have to, dare I say it, a Smith Rowe go or a Lokonga going or whatever, like. You know, and I did see reports, and I'm not being nasty for it all, like, on Jorginho. You know what I mean? Like, if you bring in the likes of Caicedo, Rice, and you've got Partey there, you may have to say to yourself, all right, okay, we'll let Jorginho go as well. Like, you know what I mean? They're all fit, you know.
But again, Lee, like, if we're going to buy Rice and Caicedo and sell Xhaka and Jorginho, we're just replacing. Now, I know we're upgrading, but we're not looking. Then we start to look and think, have we got enough midfielders now? So
well, that would be the case. But like what we would have is two mid. I look at it and go, well, okay, we've got a midfielder like, say, like, if anything happens to I don't know, Partey or whatever, Declan Rice can slip in there. If anything happens to Caicedo, Declan Rice can come in there, and maybe you can play a Smith Rowe in there or something like that. They're players. You're getting a player that can play two positions in Declan Rice. There's no two ways about that. He can do the holding role and do whatever, like, you know. So maybe, like, you know, on times you just think, right, okay, Thomas, we've got a massive game on Saturday. We've got, I don't know, Chelsea at 12:30. You'll be playing in that one, but the Tuesday Champions League game, I'm going with Caicedo and Rice. You know what I mean? Like, and then they're gonna. That is how you do it. Then, you know what I mean? Sort of turn it all around and all that, because at the moment we can't do what we done last season and like rest like an entire team for the Europa League. And by the way, we was crapping. You know what I mean? I'm really, you know, this transfer window's got to be done properly, and it's not work. Ben, you know, learning on the job. Oh, well, we're not used to Champions League football, and that's what. No, this is what you've been planning to do all the time. Whether you come second and challenge for the title, the plan was always to get into the top four this season. Don't forget that. You know what I mean? Like, with that, so they know exactly what they've got to do, and they've got to get in players that can play Champions League football on a Tuesday, and then make sure that they're already and rhyme and primed for the weekend fixtures as well. And there's got to be where there's no drop off. And I'm sorry that there is a drop off when you look at, I don't know, Odegaard and Vieira. Why? Because Vieira's a 20-30 million pound prodigy looking like to go in there. You've got to buy in players now that are ready for it week in, week out.
Yeah, 100%, man. A lot of people in the chat are feeling it as well. They're saying, not sure about Havertz, not sure about Havertz. Before we come on to the player, you make a really interesting point about the fact that we're now in the Champions League. And I was speaking on my channel about this to a few other people. And I feel when we spent 150 million back when we bought Odegaard, Ben White, I think it was Tavares, Lokonga, Tomiyasu, and Ramsdale. It was 6 players that everyone went, bloody hell, Arsenal, 6 players. And then everyone says, we can't get all 6 players in the transfer window. Yes, we can. We did it, right? We spent 150 million. That was to try and get us back into Europe. Yeah. When we got back into Europe, the transfer window just gone in the summer with Jesus and Zinchenko, right? Feels weird saying it now, but that was to try and cement top 4. This summer, we ain't trying to scrape in the top 4. We're going for the title. So I expect us to go mental. I expect us to be spending money. I don't expect us to buy Rice and then a couple of Brazilians and go, right, ready for Man City. I expect us to go get Rice. I expect us to go get Caicedo. If Havertz is the guy that Mikel Arteta believes is going to cover for Odegaard and Jesus, we've got to back it and we go and get him. I want to see a centre-half coming in instead of Rob Holding. I want to see a fullback that can actually stay fit, unlike Tomiyasu. But when he's out, you actually have a fullback coming in. So I don't want to be Saka playing 70 games a season. So there are some other positions we need here. So I wanted to ask you on your opinion of this Kai Havertz thing, because I've got to ask you, Lee. I don't know where he plays. I still don't think he has a position. He's been disappointing for Chelsea. He's been there for 3 years now. And he's managed to get 8 goals in his best season. The others, he's got, I think, 4 and 4 or something like that. So he doesn't really score goals. He don't really hold the ball up too well and use his strength, even though I think he's probably got that. He don't press or get around the pitch. He can play wide in the middle or up top, but doesn't really thrive in any of those positions. There are a lot of negative things, Lee, and we're talking about £60 million here. What's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, no, listen, I remember when he was available 2 or 3 seasons ago, people were actually going, "Oh, we've got to get him, we've got to sign him, like, and he went to Chelsea and the people will look disappointed. Listen, because he's having a bad time at Chelsea under 3 different managers and whatever, he could come to an Arsenal and be a very, very big success. Let's just have a look at someone like Odegaard. Wasn't pulling up trees at Real Madrid. Look at him now. So I don't look at it in that side. You know, Gabriel Jesus was a player last season I weren't like too keen on when I first, but when I see him in the flesh and in an Arsenal shirt, my opinion changed. So I'm not going to go on that light, you know. Now we might be looking like, so someone said in the chat like Declan Rice and Caicedo are like holding players. I agree with that, like, you know what I mean? They are. But I do think that Declan Rice is a lot more to his game. I think he's got the energy to go box to box as well, like, and become what Xhaka has been at this football club under what Mikel has done, like, you know. So for me, listen, if Arsenal go out, how can I put this? Arsenal go out and buy them 2 players and then sell Eddie or sell Balogun and bring in a Havertz. I ain't got a problem with that whatsoever, Dan. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it might be good business, but you've got to have the basic of the things right and all that, like, you know. So it's a really difficult thing. Now, listen, when people go, you know, people can go on about, he's not done this and he's done that. Like, don't forget Thierry Henry wasn't pulling up trees at Juventus. And I will say this, Dan, if the ball, Edu and Arteta want to go for him, and they do go for him, they will earn my trust on it, like, you know what I mean, because of what they've done. But in saying that, they've still earned my trust. But we still need that. I still think we need that. Those 2 players. I don't care. Like, whatever. If we was to sign Rice and Caicedo, I'm not bothered about any other positions, Dan. I'm going to really be honest with you, like, because whether you get a fullback or a centre half, whatever, because at the end of the day, those 2 players will take us to a level that we haven't been at. And I mean that sincerely. We was right close to Manchester City this season with 2 very, very good players. You know what I mean? One, by the way, in Partey, or I think if he stays fit like he should do, like a player would do, he would do. But what I'm saying is Caicedo will be that Thomas Partey, but he'll be fit every week, you know, where he keeps breaking down and we can't rely on him too much, like, you know. And we will be a different team from that point of view. And if he was then to say, all right, we're selling so-and-so and that. The thing with Havertz, which really does get me a little bit wary about him, like, well, if you're going to do that, are you going to sell Smith Rowe? Because there's some sort of similar players as I look at it.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is the price, because he was bought at between 70 and 80 million. I think it was rising to like near 80, over 80 if he had the benefits put onto it. We signed players in the past for a lot of money, but the last 3 seasons, Kai Havertz has got a total of 19 goals for Chelsea in 3 seasons. Okay. We've got a player that I've looked at stats-wise here. In the last 3 years, has got more goals, 21 goals, which is pretty poor. Do you know who that player is?
I'm going to say Pepe.
You're going to be correct. So my point is this. If we're going to be spending £60 million on a player that's got worse stats than Pepe, a player we don't need, is that going to be a good signing or not? Now, you're right. He could turn around and go, do you know what? it just ain't happened for me at Chelsea because of X, Y, Z. They don't play me in the right position. I'm not surrounded by the quality that I'd like to be, and it just ain't work for me. He comes to Arsenal and all of a sudden he does what he's done with, let's say, Ødegaard. This could happen, but I've not got much faith in it, and I'll tell you why. He's in the same league, right? He has been surrounded by quality because Chelsea have got some quality players. They've had a shocking season this last season, but they've been in the Champions League consistently, and he won the Champions League with them, right? And I've just not seen him do so well. So if people don't want Pepe, which I think Pepe has to go, he's got better stats than Havertz in the last 3 years. So are we upgrading on Pepe by saying, off you go, Pepe, we're bringing Havertz in? Is that a huge upgrade from what you've seen? Because as crap as Pepe could be, he did create and he used to put the numbers out. So I'm just saying, I don't know if it's a great signing, Lee.
No, listen, I'm people are going that we're deluded in the thing. We're not. We're just debating about it, like, you know what I mean? If I'll be honest, you know what I mean? Do I think that we can do better than than Havertz? Of course I do, like, you know, but I'm just putting it out there. Who scored the winner for Chelsea in the Champions League final against City? You know what I mean? Like, you know, who played, you know, he's Champions League proven. He's played in Champions League. You know what I mean? I know you're comparing stats and all that. Pepe's playing Europa League. You know, it's a little bit different. He could give us a little bit of option because he's not bad in the air, Dan. If I'll be honest, he's not. He's someone that can win a ball in the air, which we've not got. You know, so like it's certainly things there. Listen, I'm not against Havertz coming to the club if I'll be really honest, if we get other players coming in, Dan, like, you know, and that's how I want it to be.
This is interesting because me, Curtis, James, and Robbie were talking about it. I said to Curtis, I said, if we get Rice, Caicedo, and Havertz, would everyone be all right? And everyone went, absolutely. So isn't it funny that we're all like, not really too sure. We're not saying don't get the guy. We're just saying it's a lot of money. It might not work out. But if you're getting him with Rice and Caicedo, that's a midfield three there that if Partey, Xhaka and Ødegaard of this season and now Rice, Caicedo and Ødegaard with Havertz and Partey as cover, that might not look so badly.
100%. 100%. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't actually look too bad, Dan, if you had, like, being honest about it. And this is where I say about Havertz, if I'll be really honest about it. If I'm in that meeting now, I go like, well, okay, we've got Rice, Caicedo, right, Partey, right, and Ødegaard, right. I wouldn't mind Smith Rowe backing that up, right, and then go. Do you know what we could do with a bit of cover, a different left back, you know, in place of Zinchenko, like go and bit someone in that position. I think it's more important that we spend more money in other areas than on Havertz, if I'll be really honest. You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to spend 60 million on Havertz, I'd rather go to Brighton and go, look, how much you want for him is 75, where we give you 75. Go over the top for him than rather giving Chelsea 60 million. If I'll be really honest, that's what I'm saying, like, you know what I mean?
100% with you, mate. And, you know, when we were linked with Declan Rice a couple of these days ago and they said yesterday it's close and this 100 million thing could happen in the next few days, right? I really thought the next one was going to be a Kai, but I didn't think it was going to be Havertz. I thought it was going to be Caicedo. And I really thought we were going to go for both. Now, we might still go for both. We don't know this for a fact. This is all rumour at the moment. It sounds like it's pretty reliable. Romano, Ornstein, those types are saying that Rice and Havertz are the two players Arsenal are looking at, right? They've not said that we're not in for Caicedo. They've not said he's not coming. They haven't said he is. But Brighton, apparently the source that said he's going to be staying in January and Arsenal may have to come back in the summer, is saying we are expecting a bid from Arsenal this summer. They've said it. They've come out and apparently said they are expecting Arsenal to bid for Moises Caicedo. Doesn't say that no other team are going to bid for Moises Caicedo, because I imagine Chelsea would as well. But the Caicedo one just feels a little bit like a Mudryk one to me, Lee. It feels a little bit like, what do you fancy? Yeah. Oh, we want 70 million. Right, we'll give you 90. What are Arsenal paying you a week? 180,000. Well, we'll tell you what, we'll give you 380,000. Yeah, but you're not in Europe. Yeah, but we'll give you 380k. Oh, all right, then. I can see it happening, Lee. I'm sorry, mate. I really can.
I'm with you on that. But I will say this, and I'll go back to January. Chelsea put a bid in for him, you know what I mean, when they was in the Champions League, because they were still in the Champions League at that time, right? he did not put in a transfer request. As soon as Arsenal put in a bid, he put in a transfer request, and it all went a bit pear-shaped for him, didn't he? Didn't turn up for training and everything like that. That isn't what. That's telling me one thing, Dan. You know what I mean? He didn't not go training when Chelsea put their bid in. As soon as Arsenal did, he was in there with his agent. I want to leave. Black and white. He wrote a letter, Dan. You know what I mean? So basically, like, you know that if you give the right money, you're going to get him, right? So why are you putting a bid in January and not now? I'm sorry, like, you know what I mean? I don't understand it. And then when people turn around and say, "Oh, well, I haven't got the money," well, we was putting a £70 million bidding for him. If Brighton would have accepted it, he would have come. And if Chelsea, Shakhtar Donetsk would have accepted our bid instead of Chelsea, he would have come. I worked that out as £170 million in January. We've got more than that. We've got 200 million at least this summer. So why are we not going in there? Unless they're saying, look, you know, and these things can happen. They're saying to him, look, we're going to get the Declan Rice one done, and then we're going to come in for you. We're going to sort that one out. Like, that goes on because Ben White. Do you remember what Ben White said? Don't worry, it's all good. We'll get there in the end. Like, you know what I mean? You'll be our player. And also, Dan, you know, these players are needed. They're needed, you know what I mean? Like from that point of view, and I just think that Arsenal. I don't want. Listen, I don't, and I mean this really. I want Arsenal to be going out and getting their top targets and getting them done. I want that. I want that done, like, you know. And I'm saying that now that should be done. That should be done.
Plan A signings need to happen because there is this like debate about who is to blame. Is it the circumstances, the situation? Is it Edu can't get over the line? Do Edu and Arteta not have the pulling power? Is it the Kroenkes not putting up the money? We're never going to know, really. But I think we will know this summer. Because if that summer window shuts and we've got Rice and a couple of Brazilians, I'm coming for the Kroenkes. Yeah? If we get to a stage where we've got everything that we need, it's on Arteta and the coaching staff to get it right. So we're going to be able to at the end, because this project's done now, Lee. I'm not having any more of this. Give it another 3 years.
No more excuses.
It's done more. No more excuses now. We know what we got. We did brilliantly to try and get as far close as we can to Man City. I need a trophy next season and a title challenge at the bare minimum. That's what I need next. I can't have this, oh, you know, it was Man City were too good. I hate that. Man City were too good. Did we say that back in 2002, by the way? Man United are just too good. Second will do. Man United are too good. I hate this. I can't do this crap. We know what we got to do. It's looking at us. It's right above us, and we've got to try and be better than it. Not replicate it. We've got to be better than it. The only way we're going to do that is by going and buying players. Now, Kai Havertz, Lee, 75 million. That is ludicrous for me. Absolute ludicrous money. So what is acceptable for you as an Arsenal fan to accept as okay if this is going to happen? Are you looking at, same as me, £40 million has got to be the top for me.
40 million, and maybe then say to Vieira, like, you know, you're going on loan to another London club, like via Brentford, West Ham, or someone like that, to get himself going in that. Like, you know, same for Mason Mount. You know what I mean? Mason Mount, you know, been.
Well, that was my next question. I would rather have Mount out of the two because at least he works and presses.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean. But I wouldn't be paying no more than 40 million. I think Man United bid 40 million for him. Like, you know, we'll take it or leave it, Chelsea. Like, you know what I mean? Listen, Chelsea put themselves in this shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and at the end of the day, don't go and helping them out. You know what I mean? Like, no one helped us out trying to get rid of Kolasinac and Ozil and place people like that that we made messes on. You know what I mean? Like, so don't be going in there and trying clearing up all their crap. You know what I mean? Like, you know, let them get on with it. You know, that's my thing for. I wouldn't be going to Chelsea, anything going like. And I think Man United done the right thing. 40 million. Do you want it or not? If not, okay, all right. See you later. Like, you know,
I agree.
That's how it should be. Like, you know what I mean? I think Arsenal's priority is those two midfield players, and that is why I think fans are a little bit disappointed about the Havertz thing at the moment, because I think we all know, Dan, one of the reasons we didn't quite get over the line in the league this season was because our midfield was too light And I mean, not even the two players that we had. They were just two. We didn't have a significant backup for them, like, you know what I mean? So, listen, I'm disappointed that Xhaka's going, because I look at and I think that Xhaka will be a good backup. But I look at it and probably what I'm hoping is that that's what the deal's been done and been said to Xhaka, and he's not quite happy about being a squad player. I get that. You know what I mean? Like, so I'll be really interested to see what happens in the next few weeks and that. And I'm sorry, Dan. I'm going to say it now. I keep repeating myself on this. Like, you know, everybody that goes to the Arsenal season tickets have gone up this season for one reason, because we've got Champions League football now. Like, you know, and they're still asking their fans to go and buy shirts. They're still, you know, which has gone up an extra tenner, by the way. Asking us to put in our, you know, pay over the top for season ticket shirts, blah, 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 blah. I expect the same back from the club this season. I'm sorry, Dan. I do. Like, you know, people go, oh, but you stick up for Eddie. I'm not going to, at this moment, I will stick up for him until it's done. If we haven't got what we've got in place, come the end of the transfer window, and I'm not talking about the end of the transfer window, I'm talking about at the end of when we go into that pre-season tour, because one of the things that I've done about what I think was successful last season was we had everybody ready for that first game of the season. For the last 5-6 seasons, we've never been ready because we've been trying to negotiate, penny pinching to get players over the line. Everybody was there and available for that first game. That's got to happen again, Dan. We've got to go in there and be right on it from day one. So get these players in. I don't want to see them like we're still haggling with such and such a club in September on August the 28th, because we're trying to get them in early, get them in, and we go and we hit it hard for that title again now. And what we expect to do, and I'm going to be really honest, Dan, the bar's gone up for me now. You know what I mean? There's no more. Oh well, we come second last season, so. We was only expecting Champions League. We've come second this time around. So what's it now? Like, oh, we come second, but we're going for top four. Let's be honest now. We've got a chance. There's no more excuses. Oh, well, we're only on Europa League budget. We're on the biggest budget you can get now, Dan. Champions League budget. What are we in the Champions League for? Let's see what Arsenal and what we've been craving for the last 2 or 3 years. We want to get top four. Why do you want to get in the top four? Is it so you can push on to win the title by getting players like who we've spoken about, or is it just because you want the money? Well, we're going to find out, Dan, in the next month or so. We will find out.
No excuses anymore, and the chat are agreeing. Let's bring up these couple of super chats. This one's from Ricky Proctor, who's a great one. I says, why not spend this Havertz money on James Maddison, Lee? He's available. Looks like Newcastle are going to be getting him. Spurs are sniffing around him. Rumour of 45 million plus to 50. I'd take him over Havertz any day of the week. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But they may have spoken to, and this is the other thing that you have to think of. They fill out these. Fill out these players, and Maddison's probably might fancy a move to Newcastle instead. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I would certainly be looking at Maddison over Havertz. So I would definitely look at that. The one thing I would say about Maddison, which does worry me a little bit, if I was spending 60 million on him, like, you know, he's not always quite fit enough, is he? I remember last season, long layoff again. The season before, long layoff. Didn't play in the World Cup because of an injury. So that would be my only concern about that, Dan.
Fair enough. Good player. Really like him. This is an interesting one. Zara, big up yourself, man. He says, I'm a fan of Rice and Caicedo, but do either of them start above Thomas Partey when he's on form? He was compared to Rodri and Casemiro for 3/4 of the season. I like this question for 2 reasons. One, I think it's a good question because Thomas Partey has been superb. And 2, I like it because now we're talking about stuff that I want to be talking about, which is there's no guaranteed starters at clubs, because that's what Man City have. This is what we need, Lee, isn't it?
Yeah, and listen, if Thomas Partey's 100% fit, he starts because he's absolutely outstanding. But parts of last season, Manchester City at home, he breaks down and he's injured. The drop-off is unbelievable. If you've got Thomas Partey, who, by the way, could only play one game a week all the last season, didn't play many more after that, right? You're asking him now to play two. So you can say to Thomas Partey, right, you're playing Saturday, but you're not playing Champions League, or you're playing Champions League, and then the next coming, you have to work around it. It's called rotation. You know what I mean? But I'm saying all that. Also, when Thomas Partey had a little bit of a drop of form, we continued to play him. Why did we continue to play him? Because we didn't have nobody else. But if you've got a Caicedo in there, like you just say, all right, have a little break, Thomas. And I do believe this with Thomas Partey, Dan. I do believe that he picked up a little injury in that international break, never come back quite the same after that, and we've had to try and get him through games and all that. We would not be doing that if we've got a Caicedo and a Rice in there, like, you know. That's what we need to do. And then you can say to Thomas Partey, right, and I mean this with Thomas Partey, if he's 100% fit, there's no better midfield player in there. If he's 98% fit, he's not the player that he is. You know, and I'm sorry, you can't guarantee him being there week in, week out. And you've got to be ruthless sometimes along the line, Dan.
You have to be. And I'm in the same boat as you. You got to be ruthless. We need a squad. There's 4 competitions this year, and we want to be going and winning all of them. Now,
yeah, that's another thing. It's another
I'm
thing.
not naive enough to
pulling
think
out of competitions early and people
Listen,
making excuses about it, Dan. Me being one, I'm going to be really honest. I know that you've had the ump about this a little bit. I've sort of said, no, let's, you know, like Robbie, for instance, you know what I mean, had been done for with bigger fish to fry, because I get what he was saying. I've been there. I'm not having that excuse no more. Like, you know, trying to make all the excuses under the sun when we lost to Man City in the January thing, like, you know, we've got it to go for and everything like that. For me, no. Every game, every time we go out, I expect us to win.
100%, mate.
Adrian's in the chat. Hello, Adrian. How are we?
Hey, Adrian. How you doing, bro? Hope you're well, mate. Hope you are well. Let us know what you think in the comments, mate, of this Havertz link. Be interested to get your thoughts, mate, while you're here. I want to just bring this one up quickly because it was something I was going to touch on. And seeing as it's a super chat, big up, Harry. It says, Barella looks like he's going to Newcastle for 50 million. Another player I would look at over Kai Havertz. Very, very good player. Looked good. Looks good, to be honest, for club and country. He was in the Champions League final against City this year for Inter Milan. I think this guy will be a very, very good signing for Newcastle. And it does frustrate me because out of the 3 that are linked with Arsenal and Newcastle, I would take Havertz last ahead of Barella and Maddison. So we'll see. Listen, I've been proved wrong many a time. Ramsdale and Tomiyasu, I wanted to see him in Arsenal shirts before I judged them, and they were superb. Everybody had written them off. So I'm not going to write Havertz off and say, oh my God, this guy's going to be a disaster, but I'm going to allow him to prove everybody wrong. I just hope that he can do if he does come in to an Arsenal shirt. Lee, I wanted to close on the Cronkies because a lot of pressure on Mikel Arteta and Edu this summer, of course. A lot of pressure on Arteta next season to win something with this team now that he spent money on it. I get all that. Where do we stand on Stan and Joshua Kroenke? Because for me, this is one of their biggest ever windows. They're now in charge of the club. They've got sole ownership. They've backed in the last few windows to get European football, top 4 football. Now we're going for a title. I want to be seeing a lot of money spent. And I know that we've spent a lot of money before. And I think I said this before. We've spent a hell of a lot of money over that period of time. I need to see a lot of money spent over this period of time now. And this period of time is right now at this window. And I would not sit there and lie to you and say that I'll be happy with spending 100 million. I need to be seeing 200 to 250 million being spent. And then the player sales helping within that. Like you said earlier, sell someone if you can't afford it. Now, with the Rams, they went and bought 2 of the best players, right? With the Nuggets, with the Nuggets, Denver Nuggets, they went and bought that Jokic guy who's apparently the best player at NBA. I don't watch basketball, but apparently he's the best player. So when we are in a position where Kylian Mbappe becomes available, we all know in the chat, everyone will laugh, we're never going to sign him, right? He's going to go Real Madrid, let's be honest. But wouldn't it be great to have the ambition to go, do you know what? There's 150 million, accept it. How much do you want? He's going to say, look, I'm flattered. I don't want to come Arsenal. I need to win now. I want to go Real Madrid. But I'm looking at the Kroenke sports over in America, and that's what they're doing. They're going and getting the Haaland equivalent, the Mbappe equivalent for the Nuggets and for the Rams. we need to be able to be in a position, maybe not this year, but soon, that we can attract the players of that ilk. Because that was why we moved to the Emirates, right?
I agree with you. Like, you know, I mean, they've done exceptionally well, and they have bought in. Like, you know, I don't, as I say, I'm with you on the NBA. I don't watch that, but I do watch the NFL, and they went big. They went massive on two
Same
players.
as Colorado Avalanche. Well, sorry, that was another one they've done as well.
Yeah. You know, they won the Stanley Cup, didn't they? Like, you know, so you know, they've picked up a lot of stuff. But out of all of those sports, the only one that I really watch is the NFL. With the Rams, they spent on wages on the two of the big guns that got them over the line for the Super Bowl. They also had a young manager, a little bit like Arteta, that was a little bit naive and everything like that. Come very, very close to winning it on one occasion, then won it, you know. So they backed him again, you know. So the difference between the American sports and us being over here is that they're there. They're watching those games. They're in that country. For me, I think it's time that. And listen, I think since Josh has sort of had a little bit more in charge of like what we've seen, you know. And they have spent money. Whether you think it's them or it's the club, one of them's doing it. The club's actually spending money, like, you know, 150 million 1 year, 130 odd million, and all that. Like 100 million. Listen, Dan, I'm going to say this about the Cronkies. That's great that they've done that. But if they spend 150 million with Champions League money, I'm going to be pissed off. You know what I mean? This is the time to go big now. Like, you've got Champions League football. You've got to go big. And I'm sorry. You know what I mean? We was not strong enough to compete on all fronts last year. We wasn't strong enough to compete on... We was only strong enough to compete on one front last season. That's why we tossed all the others aside. You can't. So what we're going to do? We're going to prioritise the Champions League, or we're going to prioritise the Premier League, because that's all we've got with this squad at the moment. Or are you going to prioritise both of them and go for both of them? You're going to need to spend some money, and that's what I will see. I think this is the summer that you'll know everything you need to know about the Cronkies. And I'll tell you what, we've probably been saying that for a couple of years now. But this is the
you're
one
right
now.
this time. This is the one.
This is the one, because every time there's been a little bit of an excuse. Well, we can't attract players because of European football. We can't attract players because of Europa League football. But what we can do now is we can attract players through Champions League football. No excuses. So let's see what happens. You know what I mean? And like, you know, someone just said there, calm down. If you was here for the earlier thing, I have said it. This is all like speculation at this moment in time, because we'll see what happens before when they get on the tour. And listen, I do believe that also this time last season we had a little bit of a worry about things. We were sort of, you know, panicking a little bit, and then they went bosh with a couple of players, you know. So listen, also in that, which has got to be said, you know, while we're on about spending money, that the club has done it internally by getting Saka sorted out. They've also fantastically by getting Saliba sorted out, Martinelli before that. I think Gabriel signed in some part.
Ramsdale as well.
That Ramsdale signed and all that, like, you know. So listen, they're doing work behind the scenes that we're all got to be very, very pleased with. Certainly the one with Saliba. That's a massive for me. That's massive. That's so huge. You know what I mean? Like, and if you look at all of those young players, and this is where I'm hopeful, Dan, that these conversations are being said. Because listen, Saliba could go anywhere he wants, right? But he chose to stay at Arsenal. As someone said to him, look, this is what we're going to be doing. Saka, this is what we're going to be doing. I'm pretty sure that City would have been in for Saka if not, like so. But they've all signed on long-term deals because they must believe in what's going on and believe what is being said. You know, they're not going to turn around and say, "Oh, we're only going to spend 20 million on someone this season or whatever." Like, you know, they want a bit. They want. Listen, they can get 200. So when people go, "Oh, they're getting contracts of 200,000," but they can get 200,000 pound a week wherever they go. Dan, right? Let's get that serious. Let's get that out of the way now. You know what I mean? They will get 200,000 if they went to Man United, Manchester City, wherever. What they can't guarantee is trophies or get trophies. And we can't guarantee, no one can guarantee that Arsenal are going to win a trophy next season. No one can guarantee and tell me that Manchester United will be. I'll tell you what, though, Manchester City, I think, will get a trophy next season. That's how it is. Like, you know, But what I'm saying is, so there must be something in there where they've turned around and said to him, right, we're doing this and we're doing that, you know. So let's see what happens. Like, you know, great point made there. United signed Casemiro without Champions League football. I get that, like, you know, but they also signed him on a big contracts, you know what I mean? So you have to stump up the money, Dan, whether it be on young players with big wages, which we've got now. Listen, if you're spending £100,000 a week on Eddie, and I'm not having a go at Eddie when I'm saying this, and you're spending £100,000 a week on Nelson, the elite young players are not going to be wanting the same or less, are they? They're going to be wanting up there. Martinelli, they've all been paid adequately.
I tell you, the only positive I can think right early on is we link with Rice, Caicedo, and Havertz, which means we're going to spend a lot of money. Because Rice is going to be 100. We've just worked out Havertz is going to be 60. And we know Caicedo is going to be 70, right? So already you're looking at spending 230 million on 3 players. Now, we need more than 3 players.
Yeah.
But that proves to me that we're going to be spending some serious amounts. Now, it's only rumours. We might not get any of them, right? We haven't got any of these confirmed yet. These are just strong rumours. But whoever we do get, my last question to you is this. The fans this season. We've heard a lot of excuses in the last few because we're in a process and a project. But if we go out of the Champions League and start to have a bit of a nightmare, I don't want to hear, well, it's our first year back in the Champions League. Of course we weren't going to do well. If we go out of the League Cup, I don't want us to hear, well, we've got bigger fish to fry. This is a serious pressure season, in my opinion anyway, for Mikel Arteta to prove that if you're going to be backing this guy with £250 million this summer window, you're getting close to £1 billion spent from one manager on a team. He's got to start winning soon. So I think the pressure is massively on to win a trophy this season. And I want to ask you whether the fan base is going to demand the best this season, or are they going to accept that we're still phase 3 of 5 of this process? What's your thoughts?
No, I'm going to demand that we give it, you know, like he gives it the best. Listen, I'm going to say this now. You know, we might spend all of this money and end up coming second by a point, or you know, missing out on a dodgy decision in the Champions League, or, you know, I mean, something like that. That's football. There's no guarantees that we're going to be winning trophies and all that. We say, hey, you've got to win trophies, because at the end of it, there was 4 trophies up for grabs, and they're all in Manchester. You know what I mean? So there's only 2 teams that won anything, right, domestically, right, in the league, and 2 teams won something in Europe, being Manchester City, and of course West Ham. But if you're telling me that Arsenal are in the conference next season, like, you know, I mean, I'm not going to be happy with that, Dan, because that's a failure. You know what I mean? So, you know, like, standards have been set now. The old drawbridge is up, you know, and it's now time to roll up your sleeves and make things happen. I'm not saying that Arsenal are going to win the league next season. I honestly believe if Caicedo, Rice, and say Havertz and another one comes in, we might not win the league. But I tell you what, if we're 5th or 6th, then there's something wrong. You know what I mean? I do think that if we have those players, we're going to be really chasing for it. And that's what I want, Dan. I want us to be chasing and challenging, like, you know. No guarantees you're going to win it because of what you're up against. But I tell you what, with those players, you know what I mean, we've got a much, much better chance of winning it. And I do think that there will be a time when he has to deliver. Like, you know. Now, what I'm saying is, with all of those players here, Dan, and we've got 10 games left of the season, we're 5 points clear, then he has to nail it. This season, there's excuses because the squad weren't strong enough and whatever. But if all those players are there, £250 million spent, and you go into the last 3-4 weeks of the season, you nail it. You as a manager, us as a fan base, we have to demand it and make sure that it does happen.
Yeah, we do. And, you know, like I said earlier, we're going to be pointing a finger at somebody come the end of next season. It's going to be Kroenke. Why the hell haven't you allowed us to build this squad properly?
Yeah.
Mikel Arteta and Edu, why haven't you, with the money available, gone to get the right players in and give us squad depth? Or Mikel Arteta, you've bought 7 players in. You've spent close to £1 billion. Why are we not closer to winning a trophy or the league? And someone is going to, at the end of this season, have to make some form of, give us some answers, basically, as to where we're going.
And us fans should be demanding that answer. No, not making excuses for them no more. which we've done in the past. I've made lots of excuses and been riddled for it, like, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. They are gone now. As I said, the drawbridge is up. You now deliver. You deliver.
Yeah, 100%, man. I suppose we better wrap up there.
Yeah,
Big up
listen,
everybody.
we're talking off. I know. I think this needs to be said again. We're talking off the bat at the moment, like, you know. Let's see what happens come the end of the transfer.
It's all
window.
rumours. Yeah,
It's all rumours. Let's see what they go and do. Let's see what business they do, and then when we'll have this conversation at the end of the one when we can say whether it's been good or not. But at the moment, it's look. One thing I will say, Dan, it's nice to be linked with all the players we're being linked with. That's a positive, you know what I mean? Because why players want to come to Arsenal at the moment? Why? Because there's something special happening. So let's get all that straight and all that. We're not being negative and whatever. Let's see what happens. But I'm just saying now, this next month, we should be realistically this month saying to ourselves, strap in the old seatbelts. This is going to be a fantastic ride. And that is what I expect from this transfer window.
I think that's what we all expect and hope. Listen, big up yourselves, everybody. Make sure you smash a like on your way out. Get us towards the 40k target, which is our next target. Subscribe if you are new. If you could do me a massive favour, I'm literally about 100 odd away from 9k on my channel. So if you wouldn't mind doing the same, that would be amazing. If you come over to Football's 12th Man podcast, it's all football content, and obviously I do my Arsenal stuff over here with Lee and on AFTV. So if you could come and support me, that would be amazing. Lee, big up yourself as always, mate. Great to be back on with you.
No, always enjoyed that, Dan. Always enjoy it. Right, you know.
Good stuff, man. We'll be back very soon to talk all things transfers. We've got stuff planned over the summer to give you content throughout that, and hopefully Arsenal are going to be very, very busy. Until then, we'll see you next time, and up the Arsenal. Take care, people.